What is going on, people? Welcome back into the channel. Today we are going to match preview Coventry City versus Middlesbrough, a battle of the two teams in the automatic slots. We are in Lil Bro's room for the last time, but we will be back for Christmas around here. So if you like this setup, don't worry, it will be back. Thank you for the reception on yesterday's video. And I guess, I'm using his room for content. Let me bring him in here. What's up, man?
Stop.
So you guys remember in the day in the life of an American Championship fan, when I said if you sit around and do nothing all day, you'll turn into a gooner? Look at him right there. All right, there we go. That's a lot better. Thanks for letting us use your room. Who's your favorite player?
Sakamoto.
Attaboy, now piss off. All right, so big game to debrief here, middle of the week. We know there's a lot going on with Middlesbrough right now. We are going to break them down, talk about their manager, talk about their current form. I will give my Coventry lineup, and I will give my prediction at the end, so stick around for that. I am Joner Fat Cat, if you do not know. Thank you guys for the support. Can we get to 1,350 subs, 1,350 here, and 80 likes? I know we're going crazy here, but for the cool room, for the kids' room, let's get 80 likes. Anyways, Middlesbrough, second place in the table with 30 points. They have 20 goals scored this season, 14 goals conceded. That's the second least in the entire championship behind Stoke City, who sit just narrowly behind them in third place. Unless you're living under a rock, you know about the Rob Edwards debacle. He is with Wolves now. They lost their first game. Not surprising at all. They'll be back in the championship next season. Now, they go and they swoop in and they take Kim Hellberg potentially from going to Swansea City. They sign him. Right now, Adi Vivesh is managing the team. Hellberg is waiting on some visa things and some work permits to go through. So that is probably not going to be in time for him to manage the Coventry City game. So you wouldn't expect much to change tactically. I know they switched from a 5-back to a 4-back due to injuries and whatnot in the last couple weeks, and it hasn't been working the best for them. They form table are sitting in 14th, which is minus 12 from their actual position. They have 2 wins in the last 5, which, that's commendable for a mid-table team, but not for a team that has aspirations of getting promoted to the Premier League. Maybe Rob Edwards saw that coming and decided to jump ship. Who knows? There's a million different explanations and people on either sides. I've seen both sides. So let's talk about their last game now. They played Oxford United yesterday. I'm recording this on Sunday. You'll be seeing this Sunday evening. They had a very, very frustrating game. It was reflected in the stats. It was reflected in the play. It was also reflected in the post-match interview from Adi Vivesh. I will say right now, it really rubs me the wrong way when managers come out and they blame games on referees. I really think that a lot of managers, especially in the championship, need better PR training where they're not going to come out and bash the referees and say, we would have won this game if this call was made. But to be completely fair, and I know Middlesbrough fans are probably fuming if you're watching this, there were 2 very, very poor calls in that game, but you benefit from them, you don't benefit from them. It goes both ways. It's obviously not any fixing, but there was a red card early in the game that was not called, and there was a potential penalty before Oxford scored that goal. Middlesbrough did get the equalizer, but stats I want to talk about in that game: 70% possession for Middlesbrough, 19 shots, and they drew 1-1. That is just simply not good enough for a team that's right now sitting in automatics. You have teams breathing down their necks, just 3 points off of the automatic, back down into the playoffs with Stoke City. Ipswich Town luckily drew a game. We know that they are storming up the table. Southampton going absolutely demolish Charlton. They have not conceded more than, I believe, 3 goals this season. Don't quote me on that. So that was a huge outlier for them. We know Nathan Jones' sides defend. So there's going to be teams fighting for those spots, obviously for Coventry's spot too, but Coventry sit 37 points, 7 points clear of Middlesbrough, 10 points clear of the playoffs. And that means with a win in this game, they can go 10 points ahead of second place, which is a madness. Now, enough about narratives and whatnot. We know both teams are going to show up for this game. There are some injuries we'll get into on either sides in a minute, but first I just want to talk about who Middlesbrough are. And I will link it at the end of this video. I made a video breaking down Coventry and Middlesbrough and their similarities called How to Get Promoted to the Premier League. I posted it last week, I believe, during international break. I will link it at the end of this video if you want to see an extended version, because some of the things are going to cover over the same topics, because obviously that's what you talk about in a match preview. But I don't have my green screen today, obviously, because this isn't very high tech. So we have a whiteboard we are going to use today. We're going to pull out the whiteboard like freaking Pep Guardiola. So Middlesbrough have 1.3 goals per match. That's 11th in the championship. They have 3.9 shots on target per match. That is also 11th in the championship. They are 17th in big chances, and they are 21st in XG. So what does that tell us? all signs point to the fact that this team potentially could be overperforming. However, on the flip side, they also have some very impressive statistics. We'll talk through those right now. And a lot of these are coming from the defensive/possession-based side. And I do want to apologize to you guys for this being so B-tech. We normally are a lot more high-tech. We're just not at our setup. So thank you very, very much if you're still here watching a dude write on a whiteboard that's actually a calendar. Any fellow lefties, let me know down in the chat if you're a lefty. We are one of the good ones. So back out of here again. They have the third least XG conceded this entire season. They have the most accurate passes. They have the most progressive passes. And they have the second highest passing accuracy. So Middlesbrough do things a little bit differently to a team like Coventry City who are just going to outscore you. Middlesbrough will lull you to death with possession, with good defense. They have a lot of tackles. They have a lot of blocks. They have the ball in the midfield with Hayden Hackney, Aiden Morris. Those are the playmakers of the team. Aiden Morris draws a lot of fouls. Hayden Hackney can do it all. We know that. The guy most likely is going to be in the Premier League next year one way or another. And this is the part that I talked about where I really broke them down in that video that I'm going to link at the end. But I will just go through a couple things. The only negative I have, which I'll get to the end of in this segment, you will see, and it's a little bit disturbing, so trigger warning, but I broke them down very deep, as we know. They are both top 5 in progressive passes. They're both top 5 in touches. They're both top 10 in passing accuracy. So they run the game through the midfield, which is something that new manager Kim Hellberg is a big, big fan of in his previous teams. So we might see a completely different Middlesbrough come 2026. Obviously, even say right now at the time of recording, which it could have been reported, I could have just missed it. I did this research before I went to the gym this morning. It's 11:30, so it's 4:30 UK time right now. Even if he got on the training pitch with them right now, what would he have? A session with the max, so he wouldn't be able to change any tactics. So it's going to be 80 Vivesh / Rob Edwards tactics going into this game. They're going to try and hold possession. They're going to try and lull Coventry to death. And obviously, you want to keep the ball away from Coventry at all costs, even if you are just recycling the ball, going side to side backwards. We say that saying all the time, but that is probably a very good thing you can do in a game like this, going against the team in first place. Now, the only downside to those midfielders that we're discussing, I'll show you right now, and just be prepared. It is from TikTok. Yeah, so Aiden Morris is a TikToker. I will say, though, he is cold. I'm not going to lie. But, hey, I'll be rooting for him this summer. So if you're a Middlesbrough fan and you're getting offended by it, don't worry. I will be rooting for our TikTok boy as well. Now let's talk injuries. Injuries are a big concern for Middlesbrough more than Coventry right now. We know Haji Wright is out for about 2 weeks with a quad injury. He was most likely going to be on the bench for this past game anyways. Now, they were missing a fair few amount of attackers in this game and even a couple defenders against Oxford. So we'll go through right now. The most recent reports that I've read, this is the news that I've gotten from them. So Matt Targett was taken off versus Oxford at halftime. He had a calf injury. It's looking like he's going to be out for this game. They were being a little bit precautionary, but with the quick turnaround, it's not looking likely for him. And that is going to be a huge loss because he has one of the most touches on the team this season, one of the most passes attempted, one of the highest passing accuracy, I believe. Do not quote me on that. I'm sure someone will prove me wrong there. But that's going to be a huge loss. That's a little bit of a veteran presence in there. Dale Fry, the center back, is likely out. I don't know, maybe he would not have been in the team regardless when they switched from the 3-back to the 4-back, but still just another body that they won't have in there. And then the biggest issue is the 2 attackers that they're missing who are on international break. So that's Svir Naipan and David Strelic. So 2 very big signings, one a loan, one a, big summer signing for the club who they really expected to create and score a lot of goals. Both of them played over the international break with their respective countries. Then they both came back to training and they both stepped out of training on Friday and ended up missing. Neither of them were even on the bench for their game against Oxford. So is that a little bit of a gamesmanship type thing where they know that they're going to need him for Coventry more than Oxford? Obviously, you never want to take any team lightly, but it could have been what they did in that game. I'm not sure. AD was very I guess you could say cryptic when he talked about it. However, with Dale Fry and Target, he was kind of just like, yeah, it's not looking good for them, because I think anyone probably could have expected that. Dale Fry's been out for a little bit now, and then Target pulled up and he had another game, 72 hours from Saturday. So not looking good for him. That's a big loss for them there with a team that's already struggling to create chances. So that's enough Middlesbrough talk. Let's switch over to Coventry. I'm going to give you my lineup prediction for this game. So first things first, the 5-back is always going to be in consideration, especially for a tough away game on a short week. Last time we had this similar situation with Pompey away. We went with the 5-back with Wolfie splitting the 2 center backs. However, I don't think that that's what's going to happen here. That was also on the table against Stoke, to be fair, but I think Frank kind of just sacked up and said, you know what? We're Coventry City. We have 46 goals in 16 games this season or whatever it is. I'm sorry if that's wrong, but I know it's somewhere around there. I'm going to go with my 4-2-4, 4-3-3, whatever you want to call it, with my best players in the game. Haji Wright isn't here this time. This is what we're looking at right now. Put my thoughts on the screen right now. Obviously, we can see that there's 2 players missing. I think there's 3 players in contention for those 2 spots. I don't think we're going to see Eccles again. So that gives us a midfield position open, and then that also gives us a winger option open. Obviously, we're not dumb here. Brandon Thomas-Asante is going to be in one of those 2 spots. He had a cameo in his last game so that he could get some minutes against his former team. Frank always has to put that option out there for the boy, even after a long flight. Now, if we go with Efron Mason-Clark on the left, then it's down to BTA and Jack Radoni. Is Jack Radoni fit enough to play? He had 11 minutes plus stoppage, if I remember correctly. If he is fit, he's going to start. I don't think he's fit, though. I don't know. I think it was just really getting his feet wet and making sure that he was able to go 100%. Because obviously, in training, you can say you're going 100%, but there's nothing like going out in front of 30,000 fans, letting the adrenaline hit you, see how you recover the next day. And with the quick turnaround, I don't think it would be smart to throw him right back in the lineup because it's not like we need him right now. Not in a disrespectful way, just in the sense of we have been so good, we don't need to rush back a player and potentially hinder his future. So with that being said, I didn't really know what I was going to say going into this segment. I wanted to talk it out in front of the camera and see what I felt. That pretty much sums it up for me, even though I do not like Brandon Thomas-Asante at the 10. Oh, but this is a really good midfield. Shit. Oh, this is a tough one. You know what, man? No, you know what? I'm switching. Wow. I just talked myself out of it right there. If this was any other midfield in the championship, maybe not Watford, we're going up against Middlesbrough, Aidan Morris, Hayden Hackney. We need 3 true midfielders. Would it be crazy of me to say that we go with the same lineup? Oh, I don't know, but I just feel like Brandon is not as effective down the left, and he could be a really good super sub in a game like this. Him and Radoni coming on at halftime. Oh, I hate this. I hate this so much. This is actually a lot harder than I thought. Because if you start BTA in the center, you are losing a lot of defensive help that Eccles would provide for you. I mean, hell, Eccles even provided a goal in the last game. But then if you don't start him, it's a lot of questions asked on the manager, and I know he's going to want to start, but I feel like he's not as effective down the left-hand side. And EMC had a pretty good game. He was really involved. He was back in the beef with Moat and Malumbi. Obviously, he's never going to shy up to some beef, and he was backed by the rest of the team. It just shows the camaraderie within the club. This is genuinely a seriously tough pick. I wonder if Frank even knows right now. All right, put my lineup on the screen right now. And this is the power of editing because I genuinely might sit here for the next 20 minutes and make my final decision, but it's only going to be 1 second for you. So 3, 2, 1. Yo, look what someone just sent me. Similar to what AI is doing with Latibotier, AI has gone too far, man. Okay, I am switching myself back. Radoni on the bench, EMC down the left, BTA at the 10. I know it sucks. 4-3-3, 4-2-4, whatever they're feeling, however he wants to drift. You got to trust him. You got to trust the team. You got to trust Grimes and Torp. I mean, they are both in the absolute form of their lives. Literally, I don't even think you can make an argument that both of them are playing the best football they've ever played in their entire career. I mean, Matt Grimes, we know he has the X factor. Sam Parkin, who does a podcast with Benjamin Bloom, former Ipswich Town player, he bounced around the leagues. He actually said Matt Grimes was the reason that he decided it was time to hang it up. I don't know where they played. Maybe it was Swansea City. I'm probably so wrong. But in training, Grimes was bodying him as a young lad, and he decided, you know what? This might be time for me to go, which I thought was really funny. So you know what, man? Let's back the Unks. unks compared to Hayden Hackney, Aiden Morris. Let's go with the 4-2-4, 4-3-3 type beat. No 5 back. We're not going in scared. This is a team that's frustrated right now. If we score on them early, they could implode, and it could be a 2-1, 3-1 type game. So that's going to lead me to my prediction. I don't think it's going to be 3-1. I'll be honest with you. It's going to be a very, very tight game, similar to the Stoke City game. I do think they're going to create a little bit less than Stoke did, and Stoke didn't do too much. So I think if Coventry come out and they have the upper hand from the beginning, and they don't let Middlesbrough create chances, and they, if they want to sit on the ball and sit back and play defense, us being the ones back on defense, that's okay. But got to make sure that they're very clinical on their chances. Is it crazy to say 1-0 to Cov? No, it's not crazy at all. I'm going to go 1-0 Coventry City here in this game. I think they're going to go and they're going to get this win on the road. Put this little clip from Sky Blue Fans TV in there right now.
This is where we really need to stomp on the throat of the opponents. I mean, if you look back historically, last season, at this point, 15 games in, we are on more points than Leeds and Burnley, and they finished with 100 points. So in these tough runs of fixtures, that is where they really locked in. Obviously, they're anomalies of teams in different ways, where Leeds scored an absurd amount of goals and Burnley rarely ever conceded. But this is the time where we need to keep the quote-unquote fairy tale going, and that means going against teams that are in and around the playoffs and getting all 3 points. I want this team to stay in that fairy tale zone where they're feared and there's a gap and everyone's talking about it, even from different leagues. I mean, you know how it goes international, big.
I think to keep this quote unquote fairy tale, I know I used that word twice in there, you have to win these games. If you want to continue being the big bad Coventry City, you have to go and you have to keep just destroying and crushing the souls of those teams that are trying to catch you, because it's enough to win a league if you beat all the bottom half teams and you draw the games against, upper half playoff teams. However, the trajectory that they're on right now is legitimately historic if you do the math on it. And I'm not saying that that's where they're going to end up. I'm just saying that they should just keep pushing for that and striving for the absolute best. I loved it. That interview on Friday with Tatsuhiro Sakamoto, he said it best in his broken English, doing a great job. He said, we want to win the league. We don't want to get promoted. We want to win the league. We want to have the league decided early. We want to have the league decided by Christmas. Nah, he didn't say that, but he did say they want to win the league. So I'm going 1-0 Coventry. It's going to be a tight game. It's not like we're going to go out and we're going to absolutely smash them, because they're very, very strong defensively. But I think it'll be a tough game. But I do think Cov will get a goal, and I think they'll just ride it out. I would hope that they'd get a second goal, but we know how it goes. Life, death, and Coventry making the last 5 minutes of any game risk-worthy. That wasn't the right word, but we're going to call it there, man. Thank you if you made it to the end. I think this is a little bit of a longer one. I got to see on the edit. But reminder, can we get to 1,350 subs and 80 likes? We're going crazy on this one. So we will be back for the watch along on Tuesday. Do not forget about that. I will talk to you guys soon. PUSB, have a good one. Let me know your comments and your score prediction down below, and peace.